This is a Hollywood Outsider After Hours, our alternative podcast where we hoes let our hair down, slip into something a little more comfortable, and talk about geek stuff that doesn't fit in the usual hoe episode. Our regular show will air on Thursdays as always. My name is Justin McCumber, and with me this week is Aaron, our own little pasty white walker from beyond the wall. Aaron, how are you doing this week?
Doing very pale. Why do I seem so pale to you exactly?
Well, whenever we're on Skype doing the show, the picture you use on Skype, I don't think you could look more white if you had a Klan hood on.
I'm almost clear, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, you're like translucent. It's almost like one of those fish beings or something where you can, or like that guy on the first X-Men movie?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he just started liquefying. That's kind of you're almost right there.
My wife calls me Casper.
Yeah.
But you're not friendly, so
No, she never finishes it. She just stops at Casper.
Casper, the sarcastic, snarky ghost.
Sarcastic, snarky ghost. I like it.
And as you guys heard, we have Scotty on the line with us this week. Scotty, you are my very own redheaded stepchild. How are you doing this week?
I am doing well. I'm brimming with excitement about our topic this week.
Well, it's a topic that we're due to hit, probably overdue, depending on how some people feel about it. The first episode was video games. I'm sorry. Ugh. Our first episode was talking about comic books. The second one we focused on horror movies, TV shows, books. But with the new video game systems, on the distant horizon, it's kind of natural that our eyes would turn that direction because all three of us are. I don't know if I'd call all of us hardcore gamers. It really depends on your definition of what a hardcore gamer is. But we are all certainly, I don't even know. Powerful would even be a right word to describe
We're interested
We're
in
passionate.
video games.
Passionate gamers.
Hell, it's how we met.
We like to game shit.
Well, you and I actually met through the Rotten Tomatoes forum, but it was their video game section. So yeah, I guess so.
Mm-hmm. Well, it brings the people together.
Yeah. Well, and you met Brian through Gears of War, right?
I met Brian, through Gears of War. That's true.
But Brian ain't here, so fuck
that's
him.
True. So there's no need to talk about him.
And he probably won't listen to this either. So
He doesn't.
Fuck him again.
He really doesn't. Unless he's on it, I don't think he listens to it.
Nah. Well, and even when he's on it, he don't listen to it either.
That's true. The one he hosted, I don't even know if he listened to that one.
Probably not. He did it. He kind of considers that one and done.
Mm-hmm. He's like, I believe his theory is, I was there.
Just drop the mic.
I lived it.
That's right. All right, guys. Well, the first topic to discuss, kind of a natural. What was your first gaming console? Scotty, this really is your particular topic. So let me hand it off to you first. What was your first console?
My first console ever was the Atari 2600, actually. I had probably about 40 or 50 different games with it. Try to go back and play some of those games now. It's really, really not as enjoyable as I remember it being.
Look, that Yard's Revenge was the shit.
Yard's Revenge was good.
How did that fit in the womb with you?
No, that came out. That came out in
the 80s, man. You would have been
80s,
very, very tiny.
I was probably 10 or 11 when I got my first. So
I was about 3 or 4.
Are we still talking about consoles?
Were you teething on the joystick? Just kind of because it had that nice rubbery feel to it. I figured that might be, something comfortable for your nascent teeth to gnash on.
Sorry. That was back when games were all about score. That was like all it was there wasn't really beating games except for maybe a couple rare exceptions like maybe Adventure and I think Yard's Revenge you could beat, but it's still all about score.
I don't know. I never beat any of them.
No.
Mm-mm. Not at that age.
And the controls were simple, just a joystick and one big orange button, and that was it.
One stick, one button, and back in my day, that was enough for anybody.
Well, we didn't,
maybe one of those kaboom little toggles.
The paddles.
Paddles.
Yep.
Does Pong count as a console? Because it was its own thing.
Yeah.
The one I had. That was my first one. Was Pong, and that I didn't like it. Everybody was raving. Oh, this is fantastic. I'm like, it just goes back and forth. I was sarcastic and snarky then too.
Yeah.
It's just like, why does it just? That's it. That's all we got. Then we had the Atari 2600 with Space Invaders, and then I got into it.
Yeah.
What was your favorite game?
On Atari 2600?
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's a tall order.
Yard's Revenge.
Yeah, Yard's Revenge was good.
That's my favorite. Or Frogger, because I love seeing the frog get hit by a car.
I did like Adventure. Your character was a dot, and you went around with a sword that was shaped like an arrow. That
was cool.
That was fun, and there was actually some hidden Easter. That was like the first Easter egg ever in a video game.
What was
the developer? Who?
What game are you talking about?
It's called Adventure.
Adventure. Didn't they put like their name or something?
Yeah, he had his name like in a secret area that
Yeah.
because there was
Oh, that was the actual name of the game. I thought you couldn't think of it. So you're just saying,
no,
it's an adventure game.
no, the name
No,
was
back then that's what they call games. Adventure.
for real. And remember
Space Invaders.
the box art on Atari 2600 games made games look like they were the most epic things ever. Like
Yeah.
like the Asteroids cover or Space Invaders.
That's
Like,
pretty fantastic.
and yeah, they look leaps and bounds above cover art today.
They was. Pitfall. I was a big fan of Pitfall because that was
I
like
hated
Indiana
Pitfall.
Jones. Did you like it?
I hated it because I was never good at it.
I wasn't good at it either. I could never jump on the back of the crocodile's heads.
No, I was always right in the mouth.
Yep.
What was your first one? Was it an
There's so many
Atari?
things. My favorite game, I think it really was River Raid.
Oh, that was a good game.
You know, just something about zooming upwards, shooting down everything that came in your path. It seemed like one of the most exciting games that the Atari had, though I was a real big fan of Kaboom as well.
I played one called Vanguard that was very similar to.
I remember Vanguard.
That was very similar to River Raid, and I really liked that
Yeah,
one a lot.
that was pretty cool.
So
There's a lot of cool Atari 2600 games. I think I still have one somewhere.
they're fun for about 4 minutes at this point. Seriously, it's really hard to go back. Breakout was good.
Yeah.
Breakout was awesome. That's still played today. With
It went from good to awesome in a matter of seconds with you. You're
Yeah.
like, that was good. That was awesome.
Yeah, and games like Warlords, because a lot of games had 4 player capability, and so it's something that all of your family could gather around the screen, and even your grandmother could grasp the concept of one stick, one button, and get in there and play with you. It's not like in today's consoles where there's at least 2 sticks and a D-pad plus upwards of 8 buttons, maybe 10 buttons, depending if you're using the sticks, and so.
Right.
It's no wonder that you don't quite see as much family interaction with it, or at least in the older set, playing these games with the youngins. And maybe that's part of what made the Wii such an accessible
It was.
console when you just waved the thing around.
And
do you remember simplifying things?
Do you remember, speaking of family gaming, like in the 80s, the one guy, whoever it was, everybody had like a friend that got one of the ones from the arcade, the giant fucking machine. Like the actual arcade game of like Pac-Man or something.
Yeah.
And it's 6,000 pounds, and if you had a friend that had it, he was the coolest fucker you've ever met in your entire life. Because he's got this 6,000 pound machine that plays a shitty game in his garage.
Hey, don't call Pac-Man shitty.
I'm just saying that thing was huge. You could never move it. Once it was wherever it was going, that's where it was going.
The really cool ones were the cocktail table ones. They had like Galaga and Mrs.
those
Pac-Man
are
on
cool.
them, because then you could actually use it as a
Dual
surface
purpose.
as well. Yeah.
I
And they're a
much
little more
preferred the
compact.
stand-up versions. They seemed more arcade, more real. The other ones seemed like something you got out of a pizza joint, and that's just not gaming, in my opinion. If you can slap a pizza on top of it, you're not really playing. You got to be standing up.
That's the McCumber rule right there.
That's
If you can slap a
McCumber
pizza
way.
on it, it's not a console.
I kind of miss arcades. Like they even the ones today, even like Dave and Buster's and stuff. Just I don't know. Arcades had that smell to them. Like
They had a smell?
yeah, like
It smelled like...
All those unwashed children.
Yeah, that's what it smelled like. Dirty children.
No, that's not. I don't know, because that was
Well, there's
back
a certain electronic, ozone smell.
mixed with cigarette smoke. That was
Yeah.
when
yeah.
you're allowed to smoke in buildings back then.
A little bit the metal tang of all those quarters
Yeah.
getting pumped in the machines. But yeah, I mean, when I was a kid and we lived in Killeen, Texas, while my dad was at Fort Hood, there was an arcade at the local mall that we would go to, and I would steal $2, $3, $4, $5 worth of quarters out of my dad's truck, and we would all run down and just play. And I remember when Gauntlet came out,
That was
and it was
so
a new
cool.
game. That was the game everyone had to play.
Because you do 4 people at a time, and you were working
Oh,
together.
yeah.
It was a cooperative. That was such an awesome, like that and Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
I remember that game.
Oh man,
I remember
the-
that was so hip and cool
Yeah.
at some point.
But the Atari days were a heady time, and really that's kind of where my first console I ever played. But I quickly jumped onto PC gaming after that because my dad bought us a Tandy 1000 SX,
Nice.
and so I started playing games like the King's Quests and the Leisure Suit Larrys. Even though I was really young, the people where I bought Leisure Suit Larry really didn't understand I shouldn't be selling this to a child. So, I'm 13 playing a game where I have to figure out how to buy condoms and make sure you take it off before you leave the room or you get arrested for wearing this condom outside of the room where you screwed a whore.
I wish you would have had my phone number. I knew all that shit by then.
So that was the games that I didn't really get back into console gaming seriously until the Sega Genesis, not the Sega Genesis, the Dreamcast came out. And it was really a revolution and I'd played a little Nintendo here and there, of course, but I didn't actually buy a console from the Atari until the Dreamcast.
That was a really great machine.
I still have a real love for the Dreamcast.
Yeah, that was a great machine that never found its place, I guess.
No, it was just poorly timed. They released it right before the release of the PlayStation 2, and Sony marketed that way better than Sega did.
Yeah, because everybody had a PlayStation 2, and nobody had. I had one buddy that had a Dreamcast, and he could never get a game because no store would have them because they all had just play. Because back then, I guess they didn't have so much space, but
there were some fun games on that console.
You know what? I just realized I lied. I had bought
just now. We've known about that for a long time.
A friend of mine begged and pleaded for me to buy a Nintendo 64. And it was only because he had one, and that way we could kind of trade off games.
Right.
But outside of GoldenEye, which I loved, that was really my first, FPS game. But I think it was because of that Rumble Pack.
Yeah.
It was magical. Yeah. I pressed a button, and the controller, jiggled. It did something.
Well,
Consoles had never done that before. I was like, oh my God, I shot someone. It reacted.
Like the first Rumble feature?
Yeah.
That was the first one, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. So you guys are the hardcore.
It was a
gamers.
little
casual.
attachment that you actually attached to the bottom of the controller.
Just to make your controller vibrate?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like you could either slide it in.
You'd put the memory card.
Yeah, the memory card. You pull the memory card out and put in this honking thing in the bottom of it, and it was yeah.
Though I did on my computer, I actually had a force feedback joystick.
And which one?
I had the Microsoft Sidewinder. And it was a force feedback joystick. I think it cost me like $120. Wow. But whenever you'd play like one of the Jedi Knight games, it would vibrate in tune to the lightsaber effect. And if you play like Wing Commander or some of those other games, if you get hit, it would react to it. And sometimes, say if you couldn't turn right that well, it would resist the joystick would resist turning that direction. And that was a lot of fun, but for consoles, it was the Rumble Pack and the Nintendo 64 that just kind of blew me away. And consoles were really starting to become something a little more special than I ever thought they would be.
Right. See, and you talked about PC games. I didn't really get into PC games too much until actually in the last couple of years. My big step, because I played Atari 2600, but the Nintendo Entertainment System was my first real console where I got into it, and oh man, I have pictures to this day of the day I opened that up for my birthday or whatever. The look of elation on my face, holding this big old box with a zapper gun on it and everything.
It's funny because you look the same now every time you open anything else gaming.
Yeah, pretty much.
Even as a grown man. The one game I played, did you ever play like Interactive Adventures? Because the Stephen King's The Mist was probably my favorite game as a kid. And that was only on PCs.
Oh, like the point-and-click adventures, you mean? Like the puzzle games?
It was like a choose... I'm trying to remember exactly. It
wasn't like the Infocom games?
Kinda. It wasn't...
It was all text?
It was all text. It was all text.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, like Zork and shit?
Zork. Yeah, but you would like enter, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Walk north, walk east.
Yeah, exactly.
Use X.
Just those kind of games.
Yeah.
That's all it was The Mist. And it played out so however it ended based on where you went. Because obviously anybody that knows...
Did you shoot your fucking son?
I wish I did. I wish I would have, but it was I played that game so many times because it went so many different directions, and I loved it. It was on my Apple IIc.
Oh wow!
You can actually get a lot of those Infocom games now for your iPad.
Can you really?
They've got all the Zorks, Leather Goddesses of Phobos, the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I believe is in there. They have a ton of them, and it's all in one app. That when you open it, then you can individually purchase some of the other games, and they're really cheap, like $3 or something.
If they have The Mist, I'm getting it.
Yeah,
I loved that game.
I thought you were saying Mist, which was
No, Stephen King's The Mist.
Right? Yeah, I was misunderstanding what you were saying.
I never got a chance to shoot my son though. Very disappointed.
Spoiler alert!
That is too bad. Now, let's get a little more current though. What consoles do you play on? And originally I was going to ask you why you played on them, but instead let me ask you, how much do you play on them?
Scott, feel free. You're going to take the longest. So,
well, I'm an equal opportunity gamer. I try to actually own every console I can. Except I haven't bought the Wii U, but I primarily play on the Xbox 360. Probably 90% of my gaming is done on there. I only play on PS3 if it's an exclusive that I can only play on that console. Mm-hmm. And then I've gotten into PC gaming a little bit more, but that's more for the indie games that you can only play on PC, or that are just much more fun to play with a mouse than trying to mess with a gamepad. So,
what about you, Justin? I'll go last.
I've got both PS3 and the Xbox 360. I'm really in the same boat though as Scotty. Probably 95% of my gaming, if not 99% of it, is on the Xbox. Partially because of achievements.
Yep.
Microsoft really tapped into something that has forever changed, not just gaming, but I think our culture in general. I don't know how many apps that really don't need any kind of an achievement system have them anyway. Mm-hmm. And damned if it doesn't tap into my, innate desire to score a point for something, or getting recognition for something. And because Microsoft came out with the 360 a year before the PS3 and had that achievement system and integrated into it, anytime a game came out that was on either console, 360 version every single time. Didn't matter if it was prettier on the PS3, didn't matter if it came on only one disc on that system versus two on the 360. It had to be the 360 version, because that was where my scores were first established, and that's the one I could care fuck less about trophies. I don't play for trophies. I play for achievement points. So
I feel exactly the same on both. Exactly
99%. And, it's not to say that the PS3 doesn't have good games. It's got a heck of a lot of good games. In fact, it's got one right now that Scotty's playing that I can't wait to play, The Last of Us. Mm-hmm. But the games I've been playing lately have all been 360 games. So that's where I stick to. But the PS3 is much more of a Blu-ray player for me at this point.
It's a paperweight.
Also, actually, there's a lot of good games on iOS, too, that I've been finding. Better experiences than just the simple casual stuff. There's some good adventure games that I've been playing.
Yeah, the Walking Dead game is pretty good on there.
I am 360 99% of the way. I have a PS3. It's essentially a paperweight. In fact, I turned it on recently just to play Last of Us or look at it, and it took me a good 2 hours before I was able to even utilize it, because I haven't used it in 2 years. And I had to do all the updates, and I had to fix a bunch of stuff. Yeah, it took forever. It's just, and solely because of the online component and the controller. That's really what it is, as well as the trophy system. Because honestly, PlayStation, you're trying to copy Microsoft, so just copy them and get a point system. Because I think people would really like that and adapt a lot quicker. Just admit, what, we fucked up. We should have went that way and go that way. We'd be fine. The controller, I really don't like.
No, the DualShock system.
Yes, I just don't like it.
The lateral sticks kill me.
The control on the left side, because on the Xbox controller it's on the upper portion of the controller, whereas here it's lateral to the other side. That messes me up every time. I just can't play like that. It's very, very hard for me to adapt to it. Where the Microsoft controller, it's where I think it feels comfortable.
It's more ergonomic.
Yeah, it makes more sense.
Well, the triggers suck on
the trigger. I had to buy trigger clips.
Yeah,
so I had
the
real
ones
triggers.
That make it curved like a trigger. Yeah, I did too.
Oh, it drives me insane.
That's never bothered me on the DualShock.
You probably don't play as many shooters as I do. I know that. I play a lot.
I played Uncharted.
I found it was driving games that really my finger got achy holding that smooth button on the PS3. Where when I got that curved trigger shape, my finger felt less stressed.
I'm with you.
And the DualShock is very light. It feels like I could break it very easily. I haven't, but
I keep thinking I'm gonna get angry about something, and it's gonna just go flying across the room.
Yeah,
someone's gonna lose an eye.
It's a touch too narrow as well. So my wrists are always a little more bent than I feel comfortable with. But the 360's controller, which really that shape started with the controller S on the original Xbox, just feels much more comfortable. My wrists, bend outward as opposed to inward. It's just a much more ergonomic system.
I believe it. And the online is the biggest component. I mean, I have tried so hard to adapt to PlayStation's system. I just think their online is not good. There's a lot of people that like it. Good for you. I just don't get into it. I have a hard time understanding what is better about their system than Xbox's, because I think Xbox's online is way more impressive.
Well, the Sony fans like that better. The PlayStation Plus aspect is a big one because first off, PlayStation Network is free.
Currently.
Straight up.
It's going to change soon.
It's going to change. But you have the ability to pay a monthly subscription for PlayStation Plus, which gets some added perks, including full retail or not retail games, but downloadable games of games that were sold on retail, and that is pretty good. That's part of it. But
are they decent games or are they good?
Oh yeah,
quality ones?
Like Sleeping Dogs is currently, or not currently, but recently.
And you keep them forever, or as long as you have PlayStation Plus.
As long as you have PlayStation Plus, so it's kind of like
That's good. I mean, and I'm sure at some point Microsoft might adapt that. I don't really care.
Well, they already are. We're getting 2 free games.
I think that's just for the rest of the year, though. I think that stops when the Xbox One actually releases.
Mostly, yeah.
But that's what I play. I tried to play PC gaming. I tried to get into that, and it looks prettier and everything else. It just seems like it's so much to keep up with in terms of graphics cards and making sure you have the right system and everything matches. And I just would rather have a console game, so I can just pick it up and go.
All your drivers need to be up to date.
I have a hard time with that.
That's getting easier, though, and I'm not even a tech guy. And something like...
No, you are not.
If you know anything about the Steam client, they've got what's called big picture mode, which allows you to basically jack it right into your TV and use it treat your PC like a console. And they actually tweak the graphics so that the text looks readable and that kind of thing. It's really cool. It's coming along, so...
Well, what exclusives, that's one of the most important aspects of gaming. And I think every hardware company out there tries their best to keep games and franchises exclusive to their system, because they know that if people love them, then they're, you come for the first one, you stay for the rest of them if it's a franchise. What exclusives keep you coming back to particular consoles?
What's funny for me is the exclusives that keep me coming back to consoles aren't for the console that I play the most. I play the Xbox mostly, and I was looking through the list, and I'm like, there's not... maybe Gears of War. I'm not a big Halo fan, so I play the Xbox to play, like Justin said, the ones that get me the achievement points that are on both consoles. The ones that have the exclusives for me are like Nintendo. Like I love the Zeldas and the Marios and the Metroids. PC.
So really, you have the PlayStation for specialty games.
Yeah, pretty much. PlayStation
That's interesting.
And whenever I had a Nintendo Wii for the Zelda and Mario. For PS3, the ones that make me want to get that console in addition to the one that I want was like the Uncharted series, which is fantastic. It's a lot of fun. And at this point, pretty much anything made by Quantic Dream, which did Heavy Rain.
I'm with you on that, yeah.
That Heavy Rain was just so interesting to me, and it's one of those games that I was thinking about at work and wanting to go home and finish, and that says something.
That's probably my favorite game of this entire generation.
Yeah,
is Heavy Rain. Yeah,
and it's about time where I think I could play through it again and enjoy it. Because see how my ending is different than the first time. But
did you play Indigo Prophecy?
I didn't, and by the time I had heard of that one, it was so dated, and I heard it didn't do
That's
very well.
That's one of my son's top 5 all-time favorite games.
Really?
Yep. It's the story is jacked. I mean, it goes through these really weird, mind-bending permutations to where it almost doesn't even really make sense, because it starts off kind of supernatural and then it heads off into this kind of Matrix kind of setup. But there is one point near the end of the game, and in fact it may be the very end, but the game is all about these, and the same thing to a lesser degree with Heavy Rain, where it's all quick time events. For those people who may not know what that means, buttons will flash up on the screen, and when they do, you need to hit the corresponding button on your controller. The quicker you do it, the better. And there's a fight in that game where it flashes through the triggers so fast that my index fingers couldn't keep up, and I lost that battle over and over and over again. And I was just, my hands were going numb because no matter which finger I tried, I couldn't do it fast enough. And eventually what I had to do was sit down on the ground in front of my TV, hold the controller between my feet like a monkey. And then when that moment pops up, instead of holding the controller with my hand and using my fingers, I just tapped the tips of my fingers against the controller while my feet held it. And that allowed me to get a much faster rhythm going. And I actually beat the game after that. But it took me having to look like a rhesus chimp monkey to finish that game.
Now that is a gamer story. That's fantastic.
I didn't want anybody to walk in the room while I was doing that.
What are you doing playing video games?
Exclusives for me, Gears of War is very near and dear to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
I've told the story a couple times, but I was out of gaming. I didn't play any games. I was done. I didn't care anymore because nothing. Once they got to Super Nintendo and they got the GameCube and all that, it was fun to play with my kids now and then, but I just didn't care. I was too big an adult and stuff. So my son is a huge gamer. I mean, he and Scott rival each other in terms of who loves games more. And he tried to get me to play this game, Gears of War, with him. And I'm like, I don't want to play a fucking video game with you. Just go to your room and pretend like I love you. Stuff like that. But, it was really important to him. I wanted to do something with him that he enjoyed, just so we could have something, because instead of just doing everything I told him, maybe I could actually enjoy something he did. And we played it, and I just got hooked. I went out and bought a console like a week later. We were playing. It was sad because we would play online against each other in the same house. Like down. I was concerned for a while. I probably wasn't even concerned about his school. I'm like, stay up later. It's okay. And then I just ended up playing the multiplayer so much. Met several real friends. That's what I liked. We'll talk a little bit about that later. But when people harp on people, you met people, you're a big geek, what kind of person would talk to people online? It's a different world than it was 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of these people are your real friends now. And I've got several real friends. Sean and Brian are real friends that I've met online. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely the one that is nearest to my heart. And I will buy whatever console it's on just for that game.
I have so many good memories of doing online with that, just meeting people and just sitting for hours and hours. It was
so simple. They've complicated the shit out of it, but it used to be so simple and so fun.
And it's one of the more balanced online games that I've seen, as far as look at the games like the Call of Duties where you have leveling systems and you can get matched up with someone that's just severely better than you, not necessarily just on skill, but
Call of Duty. Have fun playing that.
Yeah,
right out of the box, even.
But Gears always made every multiplayer match completely balanced. Nobody had any advantage other than straight up skill, and I always appreciated that. I mean, the levels were symmetrical, so there wasn't any worry. There was no real
each
advantage.
side was the same. It's just everything was in the middle, and yep.
And it just it was so much fun. Just I remember playing and people compliment each other on nice shot, and it just teaming up together.
I remember more around the lines of, I banged your mom, or that sort of thing. But if you remember, hey, nice shot, and compliments, that's good.
Or shut up, N-word fag.
Yeah, shut up, N-word fag.
I very rarely played with strangers. I always had a group of people, whether from Rotten Tomatoes or from people I actually knew in real life. That it became a habit when I got online with my Xbox. I'd right away go to my guide button and see who was online and see if I could jump into a game. Mm-hmm. And I haven't done that since Gears 1.
I haven't. I don't play nearly what I used to. And yeah, that would be the game. I came back for Judgment. Judgment was a letdown in multiplayer wise, but maybe Xbox One they'll have a Gears of War 4 and then they'll bring it back.
And the other single player campaign on that though.
I love the single. I love the single player campaign
on Judgment.
Yeah, because it had 4-player co-op, and they actually changed several things that made it fun. Mm-hmm. I much prefer the regular Gear style, but it was a nice change-up. Yeah. Is that fair? It's not something I would want to play in every iteration.
Right.
And also, Splinter Cell Conviction was an Xbox exclusive. I guess it's not exclusive anymore. Blacklist is going to be on every system, but That is one I would follow. I would buy a PlayStation if it was only on PlayStation. I would buy one just to play the next Splinter Cell game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now, do you go all the way back to the Splinter Cells on the original Xbox?
I go back to Double Agent.
Wow. So you didn't play the first one or Pandora Directive or Chaos Theory?
I've played Chaos Theory, but I didn't play it when it came out. I played it more recently, like before Conviction. But
yeah, the Splinter Cell games. When I first got the first PlayStation, I tried playing Metal Gear Solid, and I know it's beloved the world over. I could not get into it. I didn't like it.
I don't like that game.
I didn't like the style. I didn't like really anything about it. And so I kind of felt left out when it came to the kind of stealthy, I wouldn't say I guess it's stealth military type games. But when the Xbox came out and they showed Splinter Cell, of course, being developed by Tom Clancy Games and having Michael Ironside voice the lead character, and they started showing these videos of what your character could do as far as like doing the splits up into the air across a hallway so you could shoot unsuspecting fools as they walked beneath you, and just all sorts of cool shit. I knew I had to play it, and I have played every single Splinter Cell game. I have loved them all. I loved them all up until this last one. And I really didn't think Conviction, it didn't feel like a Splinter Cell game to me.
Well, it gave you the option to either be stealthy or run and gun.
It more gave you the option to run and gun.
And I don't like to run and gun when it comes to the Splinter Cell games.
Mm-hmm.
That should be penalized. This is a game about stealth. It's a game about sneaking around and getting in undetected. To give you that option, to me, kind of takes away from the fun of what that game really was all about in the beginning. But because if I want to run and gun, then I'll play Gears of War. That's not what I play Splinter Cell for.
I would disagree with that because of the fact that you can play it stealth all the way if you want to. Mm-hmm. For the most part. I mean, there's some places where
there
have
are
to
some
do
places
action.
though where you cannot.
Yeah, there are some places where you cannot.
And those were those places that I didn't. I thought the game was wasn't the game I was looking for.
I can see that. From what I understand, Blacklist, which comes out later this year, that's supposed to be a lot more stealth. Where if you pick the stealth option, because you can still do both, it's going to be strictly stealth throughout. I mean, you can continue to do that if that's how you choose, which I hope is true because I do prefer that option. Mm-hmm. So,
but exclusives for the Xbox, I'm a huge Halo fan. I have been from the very beginning, though I'm a huge Halo single player fan. I don't like playing online. It really doesn't matter what the game is. I don't like playing online. I have played with you guys with Gears of War, and it's been fun, but I have been and always will be a single player guy. I don't want other people fucking up my experience. And even if it's just us chatting while a cutscene plays, I want to see that cutscene. I want to watch it. I want to hear every word that's said. So I want to feel immersed in that world, and I can't feel immersed if other people are talking to me while I'm playing. It just kills the mood and the experience. The only really, really, really fun game I ever had online was back on the original Xbox, and it was a game called Midtown Madness 3, where you could just get in these vehicles and rampage around these different cities. And Paris and Washington, D.C. were a lot of fun, and if you could really find some fun guys online and play all these different games against each other, it was an absolute blast to play. But other than that, I'm just not a big online gamer. So Halo single player, I've played every single one of them. I have not finished Halo 4 yet, but I am somewhat into it. Other games just keep coming up.
It's really good. I mean, I really liked it.
Gears of War, while it, for as long as it was an Xbox exclusive, I thoroughly enjoyed it. The Fable games, up until the third one was a piece of shit, but Fable 1 and Fable 2 were both incredibly fun games. Very lighthearted, but very Western in their design. I'm not a big Japanese RPG fan. I think there's only been 2 that I've ever really loved: Dragon Quest VIII, and a game called Lost
Odyssey.
Lost Odyssey. And for some reason, even though it is incredibly Final Fantasy-ish, which I don't like those games. I really loved it, and I can't explain why or what it is, but I really loved Lost Odyssey.
I
But
just repicked that one up, actually. I have never played all the way through it, so I'm looking forward to getting into that, too. It's a gorgeous game.
it's gorgeous, and it plays really well. The last battle, though, is hard if you don't have some of the right gear for it. But with a PlayStation, you've already mentioned Uncharted. I am a massive Uncharted fan, and the Vita game is the only reason I have even considered getting a PlayStation Vita. I want to play that Uncharted game, and I'm really hoping that they'll do for it what they've done with a lot of the PSP versions of the God of War games, where they port them over to the PlayStation 3. I'm hoping they'll do that with this one eventually. Otherwise, I will have to get a Vita. But Uncharted and the Infamous games, I really enjoyed Infamous 1 and Infamous 2, and there's
Same
another
here.
one coming out for the new system that I'm really looking forward to.
Is it called Infamous?
Well, it's
That's
Infamous
Second
Second
Son.
Son.
Oh.
But really, those are the exclusives that keep me coming back over and over again to these particular systems. And of course, with Uncharted, their developer just came out with The Last of Us, which, Scotty, you're playing right now, and I cannot wait to play that game.
Yes, you cannot, trust me.
All right, next up to talk about, and folks listening, if this sounds a little weird, pardon us, but we've actually had to edit out a segment because some news changed after we recorded this. So if you hear some things later on that sound kind of strange, here's why. When Xbox originally announced the Xbox One, one of the things they had talked about was that for DRM purposes, they were going to require that the machine be logged on at least once every 24 hours. Otherwise, you couldn't play your rightfully bought shit. And we went on and on for quite a length of time about our thoughts on that. Well, apparently they heard us, and they knew that we had been bitching, and rather than face the wrath of the hoes, they went ahead and said, you know what, guys? Yeah, we're not going to do that anymore. So what do you think? Is this the internet nerds clamoring online a win for us, or is this more a response to Sony, or kind of a bit of both?
That was going to be my question, because all the nerds on the internet are taking credit for this. Hey, they listened to us, and the article that Xbox or that Microsoft posted is, we're listening to you, that kind of thing. But I think a lot of it has to do with Sony's press conference, saying, taking it straight to the jugular, saying,
And mocking them.
more or less mocking them in that, and then it basically put them in a position where, like, hey, we may need to rethink this. And I honestly believe that a lot of this is more of that reaction than it is the fans. As much as I want to say, hey, it's the fans that did it, it's more Sony, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, I definitely think they were looking at the pre-order numbers. They're looking at the people that are putting their money down already, and they're already overwhelmingly picking Sony. So I think that scared them a little bit. But the fact that to see a company completely reverse their entire policy that they were making us think about, this is the future. And I'm not disputing that it probably is at some point. I just, my argument is the infrastructure is not there yet to where everybody could still play a game, which that makes it not fair. I do think it's the future, but they are just dropping all of that. All right, we're listening to you. Apparently, it's not the future because we can change it on the flip of a dime. And that to me is shocking, and it is a factor because of those communities. I mean, you go to like IGN where they have like 30 to 40,000 comments just on one post about it, and you see that kind of traction on every single website. When this news went up, within 5 minutes, just the one thread I saw had over 1,000 comments within 5 minutes. I mean, this is huge.
The hashtag Xbox 180 is already trending. not even joking. Yeah. And the site that actually broke the story, I was telling you about this earlier. They were talking today that their traffic during the big E3 press conference a while back was the biggest traffic they've ever had in the history of their site. And today, when they broke that story, they had 3 times the traffic that they did last week.
Holy shit!
Just on this one thing. That is how big of a deal this is. I had a friend of mine that posted on Facebook today that said, I think that people that bought it wouldn't have even known about it, and those that were going to buy it anyway. while I agree with the second half of that,
hardcore are probably gonna buy it.
Hardcore gonna buy it anyway. I think a lot of people that aren't hardcore gamers are going to be surprised at how many people were up in arms about this whole thing. So,
and I think that's when, I think later in the show you'll hear us refer to, it'll all be forgotten by November. This is the kind of thing, the reason why, because these things are going to change. You're going to hear more about these systems and the games that are coming out. Now, Justin, how do you feel about it? I mean, are you happy? Do you feel like it's a win, or do you feel like, well, yeah, you still tried to fuck me?
Well, I mean, not for nothing. It doesn't take much to get the internet in a fucking tizzy over something. Granted, this one generated a lot more fervor than most things do, but the internet lives to be pissed off about something or other. So it wasn't surprising. Microsoft probably really thought Sony was going to do the same thing or something very similar. Whether that knowledge was based off just pure speculation or maybe some misinformation, with insider information being passed around, I have a feeling that they didn't think they were going to be the lone company to do it. They were the first to come out and announce, which the bonus to that is they get a lot of press for being the first. The downside is that your competition can then react to that and maybe just completely cut your nuts off by going a totally different direction. That's what happened with Microsoft. They went ahead and said, yep, DRM, online presence, or online connection all the time. Sony said, oh, guess what? We're not doing any of that. Don't you love us now? And it worked. I don't know, though, whether this is going to get the love back to Microsoft that perhaps they lost with some people, because as much as the internet loves to hate shit, they love even more sometimes to hold a grudge.
No, like Aaron said, by November this is going to be long forgotten. Look at Sony.
Yeah, probably.
Look at Sony a year or two ago when they gave all their credit card information.
True. Yeah,
and now they're up on top. I mean,
It flips on a dime, man. It really flips on a dime.
That's true. So
we're not even talking about the used game policy. That was a big part of it, too. We're talking mostly about the online connection, that you only have to set up online once when you initially set up now, where before it was that every once a day. And used games, you couldn't sell your used game. I think maybe you could sell them once or something. But you couldn't loan them to a friend unless you were, on your friends list for like a month or something.
It was too confusing.
Yeah, I was already confused before they finished.
It had to be a full moon, I think.
Yes, exactly. Blood moon. It had to be specifically a blood moon.
Right.
And now you can do it the PlayStation way, which is you hand it to a friend.
Yeah, we're going to call it the PlayStation way?
Yeah, because that commercial is fucking genius. Find it on YouTube if you can. How you loan a game on a PlayStation?
It's like 40 seconds. Yeah. Not even. It's like,
here you go.
Here you go. If they really want to just even take an edge on Sony at this point, they would release a bundle that doesn't, or not have a bundle, but a bundle-less console that doesn't have to connect with it and charge $399.
They already said they will not do it.
I know,
but they said that
it's too integrated.
Yeah, I actually this is where I'm gonna, even though I don't love that it has to be connected. I don't love that. I see what they're trying to do, and they're saying if we want our developers to actually be able to create games for this, where they're going to get money from it, we have to make it a requirement so they can use all these tools. I get that. And I also want to reiterate, the one thing I will say, as much as I was against, because of the infrastructure is why I was so against it, as much as I was against it, in 3 to 5 years when the internet infrastructure is there in a lot more of these countries and cities and small towns and stuff, we have to go to an always online system. If everybody wants these ever-expanding worlds, and whether it be in single-player or multiplayer or whatever, where the worlds continue to increase and they become everything you've always wanted them to be your whole life since you were a kid, it has to get to that point. And it will. Just like movies are going to go all digital at some point, just like all your music already is. I mean, good luck finding a CD. It's almost like vinyl at this point. It's all going that way. It's going to happen, but it's just not ready to happen right now. Do you guys agree with that or disagree with that?
And I agree, and that's where you throw that dirty word, the cloud, in there, that everybody hates to talk about. But that's where I think that's going to be a big part of that, to see where this is going to go.
I think you're right. And internet connectivity it's here. It's not going away. It's accepted.
Couldn't have said it better.
Well, obviously. All right, guys. Well, there you go. If you hear anything from here on out regarding bitching and moaning and wailing about Microsoft's policies that they talked about when they released the news. That's kind of null and void now. So there you go. Previous generations of consoles lasted on average of about 5 years, but the current generation will have been out for almost 8 when the next ones come out. What do you guys attribute this extended life of these of this generation? Why?
The interwebs. The ability, I mean, technology has grown so much that you can upgrade so much with just a software patch as opposed to actually having to have hardware upgrades. Whereas the last generation, you had to upgrade the hardware because they didn't have that ability.
Right.
That's solely what I think.
When the Xbox 360 launched, they were launching games that weren't using the hardware to the full capacity. Mm-hmm. And they're just now getting to where they're pushing it to its limits. And now it's time for that. Now it's time for that upgrade cycle. And I think it's interesting too. We're on the cusp of getting to the point where graphics aren't having that huge leap that they did. Like when we moved from Super Nintendo to PlayStation.
Can't go too much further, honestly.
Yeah, we're so close to photorealistic or full motion video looking graphics. We're not going to make that leap anymore. Mm-hmm. What's going to make these consoles different is the fact that they can do the more complicated things with bigger worlds.
Mm-hmm. Innovation and expansion, mm-hmm. and yeah, I would agree with that.
Well, and your physics as well. Making your games is almost real world as the real world.
Right. We can make real world stuff in small capacities. What I think the next generation is going to be able to do is to make that real world stuff bigger because they've got the ability to do that. With the advent of, and you guys know the technological stuff better than I do, but the cloud. They're talking about.
I hate the term the cloud, but go ahead.
I know everybody does, but it's.
Some people actually believe that there's actually a cloud that holds all this shit.
Right. It's a way for people to understand it, and it's a branding thing. That. I get it.
But I've actually met people that actually believe there's a server up there in the cloud.
Really?
It's right next to Jeebus.
Yep. Yeah, same people, same kind.
But I think the further we get,
wear sweatpants to the movies.
The further we get in the console cycles, the leap is going to be less impressive between consoles as far as what mm-hmm. we see.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of inner workings that aren't right in your face like they were when we went from Super Nintendo to PlayStation and PlayStation to PlayStation 2 and 3 and Xbox 360. We're not going to, it's just, and I think the generations are going to get that much longer too because of it, especially with this upcoming generation. I heard an interview with a guy from Microsoft, and his name is Matt Booty. I'm making it up.
Yeah.
And he was very bold in saying that this is the last console you're ever going to need. And while that sounds
they say that every console.
They say that very pretentious, but what he's saying is that with the cloud activity, you're going to be able to. The hardware is so good on the Xbox that the updates are going to be updated and basically upgrade the software and make the games better and that kind of stuff as you go.
Was he a tech guy? Because I don't know any tech guy that would say that this is the best we're going to get.
I have to look.
Or is he just like
Mr.
Slimy Businessman VP guy?
He's one of those guys that was doing the Microsoft press conference.
I'm Slimy VP Business.
And I'm
guy.
sorry, I don't know his title or what he is.
No, you don't need to. We're not,
But
giant bomb for crying out loud.
Well, see, and I really don't think this extended lifetime has anything to do with hardware. I think if someone would ask me, I would say it's because of the economy. I think that when the Xbox 360 came out in 2005, things weren't that great, but they weren't as bad as they were going to get. Around 2008, 2009, around the time I lost my fucking job, things were getting really, really grim. And I think a lot of companies had to postpone a lot of projects that they had going on because, one, they're just scrambling to survive, but two, who's going to pay $400, $500, $600 for a new console when the economy is really in the toilet? But over the past 3-4 years or so, it's gradually been getting a little better, and now it's to the point where for a lot of people the economy is back where it was before things got bad, and so the time is right for a new system to come out. But if they tried to do this 2 or 3 years ago, I don't think they would have found any traction whatsoever. More people were looking for jobs than looking for a new console. So I think the economy had a lot more to do with this.
I'm going to stick solely. I see what you're saying, but I'm going to stick solely with. I totally believe it had to do with the software out. stretching the capacity for the equipment out.
And while I agree
they
with
can
you,
made
the
it-
economy did play some factor. If people want it, they're going to find a way to pay for it.
No, I would agree with you 99 times out of 100 with this. People will always find a way to buy what they want, but as terrible as shit got. I mean, a lot of people losing their homes, losing their cars, losing their jobs, businesses going under. That is just not an economy in which you drop an incredibly high-priced machine that is purely for pleasure. I don't know. That's
I would
kind of what
count-
think.
I would counter
the
that.
hardware has been great, but
Times in the past, when times have been tough, people jump to escape.
sure. But you're
entertainment.
talking about maybe a $10
Oh, are you
movie,
kidding
a
me?
$5 book,
Blue,
not
giant,
$600
big screen
for a
TVs.
console.
They've continued to sell record numbers every year. Blu-rays, etc. Everybody's adapting. I don't agree with that at all. Poor people spend more money when they're broke.
Look at Starbucks.
Yeah, the Starbucks hasn't suffered. I see what you're saying. I just personally don't agree with it. I totally think that the hardware, because those companies actually don't make as much off hardware. They make it off software. So if they can extend the life of that system, they come out better.
No, they don't make much off of the hardware, but if nobody's buying it at all, then you have no base to whom to sell that software.
Well,
I don't know. All I remember is about 3 years ago, there were a lot of articles in a lot of magazines and a lot of talk on podcasts about when's the next Xbox, when's the next PlayStation, and invariably someone would say, can you afford to buy a new one right now? Do you think anybody's going to buy it? And that was the talk. I never heard anyone mention, well, this still looks pretty good. It was always about, can you afford it? Can people afford it? But
Because the economy
anyway.
was what sold press. That's all anybody talked about was how crappy the economy was.
yeah, I would agree with that too.
Well,
I
it
mean,
does sell press, but it was also because it was true.
I don't.
I
agree
know
with
I
that.
lost my job, and I certainly wouldn't have bought.
I
a
know
new
people
system
that
when
lost
happened.
jobs and broke, and they still went out and bought a TV because people are
Well,
stupid.
those are fucking idiots, though, whose children had to eat Cheetos to go to bed. Let's not talk that they're the people we all want to act like. There's always going to be people who are getting a brand new
Cheetos
credit
before
card just so
bed
they can
sounds
buy more
really
shit.
good. I want some Cheetos right now.
As a dedicated single-player guy, I'm kind of bemoaning this growing trend toward MMO style, the persistent worlds in games, which really feels like it's putting the single-player experience on the back burner. Am I just being paranoid, or is there really a trend towards games existing in these shared MMO-styled worlds?
I do feel your pain a little bit. One of the games that I was initially excited for is Respawn's Titanfall. I don't know if you've seen this. Respawn is the guys from Infinity Ward that broke off with that whole lawsuit back in a while, and they did this game
Titanfall
called
looked awesome until you told me what it was.
Titanfall looks awesome, and then I was so excited to play it, and I heard this is an online-only game. Will I play it? I don't know.
Like a multiplayer game.
It's a multiplayer game. Yeah, like you play
So it's Call of Duty with robots.
basically. But, it looks more
Well, I mean more
interesting than that.
yeah, I'm simplifying.
And I do think those experiences are amazing and fantastic social experiences, but sometimes I just want to sit down and like Justin was talking about, play a game by myself and not have to talk to people. And not that I'm not, me, I'm one of the most social guys you probably
I
know.
get it, man. Sometimes you want to pop on and you just don't want to have to talk to people.
Well, plus I don't
Justin
wanna,
will never talk to
I don't
me.
wanna
I say
have
hi
to-
to him all the time online. He won't even acknowledge me.
Well, plus then you got to, if you want to play with your friends, you got to coordinate. Well, let's get together at this time and that, or you can wind up playing with strangers, and that could be fun. But there's a lot of solo game experiences that I've enjoyed far more than anything I've played online with anybody. So I still think that single player experiences are not being put on the back burner. I think that's a stretch. I mean, games coming up like Watch Dogs and Quantum Break and Rise, these games are all straight up single player games, and they look like there's been a lot of polish, a lot of money thrown at them. So I think we're
But
far
look
from.
at Bungie's Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
That game is going to have a persistent online world that even though you won't need those other players for your particular campaign, they're still going to be out there. They may still fuck up my single player experience. And I don't want my single player narrative to really in any way be dependent on other people out there. And I don't want to see some jagoff teabagging somebody in my single player game. That's not what I want. And there are quite a few games like that. I mean, look at Journey, for instance. It's a much different experience, but there is still, you're playing it single player, but there's all these people kind of weaving in and out of your gameplay world.
Mm-hmm.
I
Because
don't.
it's all shared, and I personally don't want that.
I don't want that either. If I want to play a multiplayer game, I want to initiate it, and I want to be the deciding factor. I don't want to just turn it on and they're already involved. Get out of my
They've been
life.
doing shit while I'm not around.
But then you
Exactly.
just don't play that game. I mean, I don't play sports games. I don't play racing games. You know, that's
Absolutely. Those aren't the games I'll play. Just like I won't play anything with side missions or.
Well, it's easy to say, but I love Bungie. I love the Halo games. It makes me sad, though, to think that they've gone from making such a tightly focused single-player campaign along with multiplayer to now kind of merging the two.
That doesn't
I
mean
like
they're-
the one, don't want the other, and now I'm gonna have to take my peas, with my steak, and I
Well,
don't want to do that.
You realize that Microsoft is doing a big portion. People realize this or not, I don't know, but they should. If they research tech, this is the way of the future. They are going for this consistent online connectivity thing so they can continue worlds like this because they want to capture World of Warcraft-like worlds.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's so much money and nickel and diming people on all that extra
and
shit.
that's why I never played WoW.
Yeah,
not once.
I won't pay a
But you know
subscription
that's
to play a
exactly but that's going to happen. That's exactly why they want to do this because they realize that's a market they don't have. That's a portion of something that they want, as well as they want to give the developers options. Hey, have your world because then you can sell them little things to continue their experience in this ever evolving world, which is cool and to what Justin's saying, frightening at the same time. Because I don't want every game to be like that.
Right.
And I think he's worried that more games are going to go that route if they allow too much expansion of this.
Yeah, but this is the new game by Bungie Destiny is not going to keep them from making more traditional Halo games. They're still going to do that. That's
Do
not
we
gonna,
know that for sure?
Oh,
don't
yeah,
know.
they're
We'll just
already
have to
talking.
see.
It's going to be up to 6s and 7s. They said that 4 was the first of a trilogy.
but he's saying they could expand it to be a different kind of Halo. Doesn't have to
Yeah.
be like the Halo you've always known.
That's
It'd be Halo World, Halo Universe. will be
well,
the next one.
I really don't see that happening. They've done spin-off games in the Halo series, like Halo Wars and all that, and they just didn't do very well. That's one that I think they're going to go with the mentality of it's not broke, don't fix
I
it.
don't. To Justin, to your point, I don't think it'll ever go away. But you don't want them to stifle creativity either.
Yeah.
So I mean, yes, that might.
Yeah, I do.
No, you don't.
Just give me what I want.
You don't know what you want because it might not have been invented yet. Somebody right now is working on it, and this technology might create the world you've always wanted.
Here's one thing I do wish that
Just think of just think of Cloud Atlas, the world.
All I know is I want BioWare
nine
to
different
keep
games going on at the same time with actors playing the same roles. Just think about it; it could be fantastic.
Please, BioWare, never stop making tight, narrative-driven single-player games. I must get more Mass Effect. I must get more Dragon Age.
With endings that infuriate entire communities.
except
maybe.
for Justin.
Do what?
Except for Justin, because he liked the
Right.
ending of Mass Effect 3. One thing I would like to see with the online gaming is I'd like to see separate packages of games. For instance, Black Ops 2 was released recently. I am a guy that when I played Black Ops 2, I played the single-player campaign, and that's it. Never touched the multiplayer. A good friend of ours bought the game, has only played multiplayer, hasn't even touched the campaign.
Yeah, I don't even know if he has an achievement point.
Yet we both are paying $60 for the game. I would like
You're
to
only
be able,
playing half a game.
I would like to be able to have the option to only purchase the campaign or only purchase the online component.
That might be possible with a digital world. I mean, I don't know if they'll do it, but it might be possible.
It would be nice because I'm paying $60 for a Halo, but really I'm only playing $30 worth of the game. Wouldn't it be nice if I only had to pay $30 for one half, somebody else paid $30 for their half, and then maybe if somebody wants both, well, they get a deal or something. But I see what you're saying. There seems to be much less of a focus on motion-based games this time around. I mean, there is the move where the new Sony controller's got that reflective, or is it a light on the back of its controller? And there is a Kinect, a newer, better Kinect on the new system. But back when the Wii first came out, it was all motion all the time, and now it's become much more niche. Have people kind of given up on motion-based technology, or has it just a case of hype and fervor simmering down to the proper level?
I think it's a fucking fad. And I'm glad it's dead.
It's like 3D.
Yeah, well, no, I don't think it's like 3D. 3D is going to last a little bit longer, but this whole, the Wii came and it was real creative and it was fun for like a minute. And how many people that that bought a Wii actually play it?
Mine is sitting in a spare bedroom, and I haven't turned it on in years.
We played it at pretty much every party for a while there.
But how long has it been since you touched it? Forever,
I don't even own a Wii anymore. But again, I'm in the generation of hardcore gamers that don't want to stand in front of their TV. They want to sit in a chair and have a controller in their hands. Those games aren't made for me. Mm-hmm. It's made for people, different generation of gamers. I think the bigger problem is that we're seeing less innovation or better ideas with that. I don't. Everything is stand in front of your TV.
There's really not much more you can do outside of now we can have 6 people with the new Xbox One. Yeah, we can have 6 people not getting involved. That's really what's going to happen. It was one of those things where it was fun. It's cool. You have friends over. You do it. You have a good time. And then once people slow down and realize that they're really lazy deep inside, they stop caring.
In my mind, it's a necessary evil to get us towards where I want to be, which I think Justin will agree with me that I want the holodeck.
Yes.
And this is a stepping stone towards that. I know we're a long, long ways off towards anything like that, but we got to get there somehow, and it's going to take baby steps. I think that's where we're at with it.
I look forward to something, but that doesn't require me to bend over and do a 180 with my
Oh man, Dance Central was fun.
You bring it right up. It depends on the game. I don't want a game where I have to wave my hand to reload my gun or anything like that. But if you're talking about a Dance game or an exercise game or something like that, sure, load it up with all the motion stuff you could want. But so many developers have just kind of shoehorned it in, like with Mass Effect 3. They've got this voice recognition system where instead of pressing the button for something, you can say it. Well, fuck, one button press versus me trying to enunciate a sentence. Come on. Mm-hmm. I don't need that. And I don't need a game saying where I can go reload and it'll reload my gun when I can just hit a button that does that. Don't shoehorn it in. It really needs to fit. It needs to have a real reason for being there. And motion-based games like a dance game or a party game, that's great. Keep doing that, but don't just shoehorn something in because it's a buzzword you can put on the back of your box.
I haven't played with the Move that much, but I saw a game this week that looks really, really fun, like a fun party game. Mm-hmm. Because if you've seen the Move controller, it basically looks like an ice cream cone, the scoop ice cream on the top of it. Mm-hmm. And there's this game it's like in development right now. It's early development where everybody holds this thing and they have literally keep it away from everybody else. The object is for you to like touch the other person's controller. Mm-hmm. But if you have a group of 4 people and like if yours gets touched, then you get eliminated. And so it's like you're trying to protect
keep away. It's like Move keep away.
I wish I could remember the name of it. I wasn't planning on talking about it.
Yeah, but is that going to sell a system?
Oh, no, not at all. That's just something
that's fun if you happen to have 4 people over all the time.
And 4 Move controllers.
Yeah. But unfortunately, most of these games, motion gaming just isn't something you can do alone repetitively and still enjoy it. Mm-hmm. If they get to the point where I can do it from a chair or a couch, maybe then we're talking. Because
I think there is room for doing it alone. I used to love to play the Dance Dance Revolution games, but I hated playing it in front of anybody because, one, I'm a dumpy white dude, so I inherently have no rhythm, and 2, my wife would practically laugh herself into a coma whenever she would catch me playing these games. So I could see some times where I would want to play one of these games by myself when no one's around, especially if you're talking about like an athletic training game or a game that's there to teach you how to different yoga poses. I can really see a need for that. But you're talking about the vast minority of experiences that require any kind of motion-based controls.
Have you ever been playing a game that had like voice activation or something goofy with a gesture and you just worry about your wife seeing you doing or hearing you from behind?
When I used to play Guitar Hero, she would laugh her ass off.
Oh, did you stand and play it?
She saw me jamming on one of those little, one of the older
plastic ones,
plastic guitars.
What, do you like stand and jam? Like you actually?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Don't play it sitting down. I put on my headband.
He's like, I'm going
my
to
ripped
town.
Jeans.
Did you ever try to crowd surf?
Dan, right? If you're going to play those games, you got to play. You're in it to win it. Luckily, when when Rock Band came out and the drums came out, then she kind of got hooked too. But let me ask you this before we move on to another topic: of the three different types of motion-based control, Kinect, Wii U, or the Wii, and now with the Move, which of those three do you think is the best motion-based technology, especially moving forward? Because I've heard that the Kinect for the Xbox One, sidebar, stupidest fucking name ever. I've heard that Kinect is like 300 times more sensitive, and so its ability to detect your movements, your facial expressions, and things like that are going to blow our socks off. So which of these three do you think is the best way to do motion control?
I mean, it's hard to say without actually using it. I mean, we're hearing the best.
He's saying what you know so far. What you've seen.
So far.
I'm not asking you to make a definitive statement of what you've experienced. What have you had the most fun with?
I mean, a better Kinect sounds good, but again, it's something I'm not going to use.
Of the ones you have used, he's saying of Kinect, Wii U, and Move, or Wii and Move.
Come on, this isn't an essay question.
No, I understand. You guys are going to laugh, but the Wii U, the tablet device that's on there, has some really interesting stuff that does as far as using that second screen in ways that I've never seen.
Is that a
done
motion
in the game.
based?
Yes. It actually does motion tracking, so you actually you pull up the tablet in front of your face, see a different screen that's on there, and as you move it around in your environment, you're seeing different things.
Interesting.
To me, that's interesting because it's tactile in your hand instead of waving around and hoping. But again, the Move is a little bit more precise than the Kinect has been.
Are you going to pick one? You got to pick one.
I still think the Wii U. To me, the Wii U I think is going in the right direction. I just don't think that they're making anything for it.
Okay, Aaron.
I'm going Kinect, 100%. I've played I played Wii U in the store and I was bored silly. The Move I thought was a ripoff of the Wii, and Kinect is just there's some fun stuff with it. Dance Central is fucking fun. I don't care how stupid you look doing it.
It is fun.
I agree. I think the Kinect, for me, what I love about it is that I don't have to hold anything. I don't have to strap anything on me. I mean, I tried one of the fitness games that the Wii had, where I basically had to strap one part of it to my thigh and hold the other one, and invariably that part of my thigh would fall. If I don't have to hold anything and it's just watching me, it was great. If it only gets even that much more sensitive and capable of detecting all the motion that I'm performing as well as others, that to me is the only real way to go. Less peripherals, more free motion. I'm not having to throw shit into my TV.
Exactly.
So we'll see, but the new Kinect looks pretty awesome. I didn't put this on there, but just really, really quickly, what do you guys think of the Xbox Ones? They have this projector that they're going to be putting out that expands what you're seeing out beyond the TV onto the walls around you. Do you think it's only ever going to be a fad, or not a fad, but one of those weird tech things that people get but only appeals to a small crowd? Or do you think that there's real what's the word? There's maybe a future in that.
There's potential. I think there's potential. Absolutely.
Potential was the word. Thank you.
I know very few people that are actually really interested in that.
I'm really interested in that.
When I saw the video, I was like, "Oh my god, that's awesome!"
But you got to be sitting in like the exact right position in your room.
I think you've got to stop looking at it just based on whatever tech demo they show. You have to see what the potential is, and there is a huge potential to utilize that in the virtual environment. The holodeck. There's a huge potential to utilize that for your holodeck that you want. Is it there right now necessarily? No, but they've created the infrastructure in the device to where 3-4 years from now that could happen. And that's what I look forward to. I don't buy any electronic based on what it can do right now. I look at it based on what I see the potential for it. I mean, for a computing device, anything that's technological like this. Mm-hmm. What is the potential for it to do, and what tech can it utilize in the future? And I see a lot more promise with Xbox One and that technology and what it can take gaming to another level than what I see in any other system, either now or coming out. So I'm with you, Justin. I think it looks fucking amazing.
Cool. All right.
Doesn't mean that it'll happen because, we saw where the Kinect went. That had a lot of potential too.
Mobile gaming has exploded with the proliferation of smartphones and tablets. Do you think that they've replaced mobile consoles? And will mobile gaming taper off, or do you think that this is only the beginning?
I don't think that smartphone games have replaced mobile gaming. I think they've actually brought more people into the gaming world, because a lot of people that never played anything before now are playing these little bite-sized casual type games like Candy Crush
and still refuse to call themselves gamers.
Right. They're technically gamers, but they don't, they don't want to be associated with that demographic or something like that. And there's something to be said about that difference between those types of games. The smartphone games are not really deep experiences. They're always maybe card games or really bite-sized board games kind of thing. Handheld consoles like the Vita and the Nintendo 3DS, they usually have some richer experience with it, more story-based kind of things. And things coming out on iOS are kind of actually doing better on that and other tablets. But I think mobile gaming is far from dead, especially the resurgence of the Nintendo 3DS, which was a terrible sales last year, is up. They're doing...
I wouldn't touch that thing if you paid me.
Yeah, but
they've also come out with the bigger screen, and for a lot of people, that was probably what they were waiting on.
The sales are up 52% from last year. They've sold 2.1 million first-party games.
Oh, all right,
in the
Statsman.
In the first 4 months of this year.
All that still makes me.
But how does it compare, though, to the DS and its sales?
I have to go back and look at numbers, but I think what's even more interesting about the thought of mobile gaming is what they're doing with the Vita and the PS4 and the asynchronous gameplay, which if you're not familiar with what that is, you're sitting at home on your PS3 or PS4 playing Uncharted and gotta hop on the train to get whatever. You save your game, pick up your Vita, get in the car or wherever, and you're playing right where you left off on your portable device. Mm-hmm. That kind of thing is awesome to me.
Shouldn't that be what they always are anyway? I didn't know that wasn't already being done.
Well,
I don't play mobile games.
Right now, the Vita and PS3 are different games. They've announced recently that all PS4 games are going to have the requirement to have that asynchronous play on the Vita as well.
Cool.
Going forward.
That's cool. I think people are twitified, man. I see games getting like smaller and shorter. Like at some point, there'll be a game that literally finishes in 5 seconds. And then they just start a new one, because that's how people seem to be anymore. I mean,
if they'll pay 99 cents for it.
Oh yeah, Candy Crush and Words with Friends, man. They just want to be done, go to the next game, and either win or lose and start over. So I don't see it going away, but I just have no interest in it. I just really don't. I'm already on my phone enough. I don't need more distractions, and neither do you, Scott.
Well, and I'm all about limiting the number of devices that I'm carrying around on me at any one point. I had a DS. I had a couple of them, and I've had, the Game Boy Colors, the Game Boy Advance. I don't really give a shit about the 3DS. And outside of Uncharted, I don't give a shit about the Vita, mainly because of my smartphone and because of my tablet, all of them able to play some really incredible games. And now that I'm starting to see at least one of my favorite Game Boy games, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, is now on the iOS. Every single one of those games has now been put together into an app. I would like to see more of those games come out on the iOS devices. What was that one DS game where it was in Japan you play these cheerleaders, but in America you were like these agents?
Oh, Elite Beat Agents?
Oh, God. If Elite Beat Agents would come out on an iOS device, I think my life would be complete. I adore.
That game was hilarious.
Adore that game. And it's one of the the only game really that has made me sad that I no longer own a DS. I played that. I can't hear certain songs now, like Jumpin' Jack Flash, without wanting to tap a screen.
Yep.
It's just so ingrained in me. But I honestly think that between smartphones and tablets, the days of your Nintendo handhelds and your Sony handhelds are probably a lot more numbered, or the number of their years left is smaller than they might have otherwise, unless they can do something that a tablet just cannot do. And then if they can figure that out, like you said, the sync, that might be what keeps some people in it. But we'll have to see.
You got to remember too. There's people like us don't have very long commutes to work, or we drive ourselves, that kind of thing. There's a lot of people, especially in Japan, that
That's true.
are riding on a subway or riding on a bus for long amounts of time every day, and there's still a big market for that.
Mm-hmm. I get what you're saying,
and they want richer experiences than what they're going to get on a phone.
I think though that a phone. I mean, what can a DS do? No, the 3DS, yes, but what could a DS do that your phone can't?
Nothing.
Or your tablet? Nothing.
Other than screen size, and it's
your screen's bigger on an iPad. On an iPad?
On an iPad, yeah. I thought you were talking.
You're talking tablets.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, I think even an iPhone 5 turned landscape is almost as big as, or hell, I mean, put it portrait. It's almost as big as those two screens.
Mm-hmm.
Just put a bar in the middle, and it's damn near the exact same size.
The problem is with the games that require much more Twitch gameplay don't have those tactile buttons that they have.
Right, you have to use a stylus or something, and those buttons on the screen never work as well as a physical button does.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, once upon a time, there was a bias against video games. I mean, I'm really surprised, Scotty, that your parents bought you a Devil Box. Does this bias still exist in your daily life where, you played video games? I grew up. And if so, do you think it'll ever stop?
No, I'll answer that. I'm cutting you. You keep going at first, son of a bitch. It's still there. I mean, there are actually, you can tell because people will stumble. Like as soon as you say, what are you doing tonight? I'm going to go home and play whatever the game is, Last of Us or something. Oh, is that a video game? Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to go watch the game like a real man, shit like that. And all I keep thinking of is, what's the difference between me going home and actually interacting with something that I have some enjoyment with versus you yelling at some sport team that you have no control over whatsoever? How is that any better, cooler, different, just because society says it's manlier or something?
That's what it is.
I don't get it.
Because and they always fall back on the athleticism aspect of it. Well, you're not
doing shit. Yeah. You're watching them, you're yelling at them, and odds are you're probably more out of shape than the rest of us.
See, and I scoff at you because you should be reading.
I agree with that. That's a logical argument to me. I mean, sincerely, that's a logical argument. If you said something about, I'd rather go home and read. All right, I could see that better than if you're going to come back and mock me because I'm going to go play a game, but you're going to sit there and engage in watching a sports event that you have no affiliation with. The outcome doesn't affect you in any way, shape, or form. You have no control over that outcome. I don't understand what your argument is. Basically, it sure seems like you're wasting a lot more of your time than I am.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Scotty? Do you face daily ridicule?
Absolutely. I'm good friends with Aaron. He still gives me crap about how much video games I play.
No, I give you crap because of your really creepy obsession with it and how all things relate back to it. That's what I mean.
Yes.
We could be talking about homeless people in China, and somehow there's a video game.
I got this homeless game where you have to level up from eating rat.
Yeah.
So, no, but even outside of that, I had a friend over, and we were playing a game while we were waiting for another.
Did you get a sleepover?
No, we were.
It was a play date.
It was a play date.
We were sitting playing a game in my living room, and we were planning on getting together with one of his coworkers that night. And while we were waiting for her to show up, we were playing a game. And he was adamant about, we got to make sure this is off before she gets here because I don't want to see her seeing us sitting here playing a video game together. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay. I don't get it. I don't know.
And what's the difference between that and Words with Friends or going on Facebook and trolling over everybody else's life? What's so cooler?
The highest form of ignorance is rejecting something you know nothing about. People don't understand that gaming isn't just a thing for kids. It's not just...
I would say anymore, it's less for kids.
Yeah.
I mean, Justin, what do you think about that?
None of my friends and I think my sphere of friends is much more limited than you guys. I don't hang out with a bunch of guys. I work at home, so there's really not a lot of people that I interact with, and all of them that I do, they all play. So I don't have anybody trying to kick sand in my face or make me feel bad for being a gamer. I really think that most of the people that I grew up with, we all played games. And even if they haven't continued to play, they remember when they did. But it's really, I think, Zynga and a lot of the Facebook games, I think, that have brought a lot of people kind of back into, while they're not playing Gears of War, they are playing something. And just knowing that, yeah, I'm playing games too, it kind of brings them into the fold and makes their ability to condescend, much less.
Fair enough.
I've been on a mission since I was a kid to be taken seriously with what I consider my favorite hobby. I don't see an end in sight. It's not considered cool outside of the gaming social circles. Like you said, you tell somebody you're not going to go out to the bar because you're going to go home and play Gears of War or something. They look at you funny. Like you'd rather sit at home. There's this mentality that gamers just sit by themselves in their basement like hermits and don't ever see the sun and eat Cheetos and Doritos and
that's only
Capri Suns and.
Yeah, there's some truth to that too. I mean, it's not like that's not totally true.
Yeah,
but I've seen you sitting around with Cheetos and your controller in your lap, and probably a bottle of Jameson next to you too. But it happens.
His controller crusted orange.
But it's not like gamers aren't a community of people that don't exercise and don't have social skills.
Not all of them. There are some.
Gamers are a completely different generation of people than they were 20 years ago when this kind of thing started.
What's the next big thing you guys want to see? I don't care if it's hardware, software, if it's real, or if it's only in your imagination, other than a holodeck. What's the next big thing you'd like to see come out?
I would like to see some console integration with the Oculus Rift. I don't know if you guys have seen that at all.
What the fuck? Did you call me something?
Yeah, I think you just called us the N-word.
No, the Oculus Rift. It's currently in development only for PC. It was actually a Kickstarter funded project.
Oh, okay.
That and it's, bear with me because it looks goofy doing it, but it's a pair of goggles that you wear on your face that is basically, and it's got head tracking built into it. So you're playing a game, holding a controller. The screen is right in your face to the point that
you've got true peripheral vision.
True peripheral. You don't see anything but screen all the way full circle
cool.
around
I like
you.
that.
1080p, 60 frames per second capability, and this thing is all the buzz right now. If you want to have some fun, go look at some of the YouTube videos of people videoing other people experiencing it. They'll have the screen in the corner. There's a big tech demo out about like putting your head in the guillotine and seeing the guillotine come down, and people are freaking out. There's roller coaster tech demos. There's all sorts of really cool stuff.
So you'd like to see this taken to the next level, expanded on?
Well,
made accessible.
Accessible and like you can use it with PC now. People are playing Portal 2 with it. People are playing.
That's kind of really cool to actually be in the world.
Right. So imagine moving with your controller, but actually then looking around with your head.
It's like a Virtual Boy that works.
Yes. I would like to see that.
And that's not red and headache inducing.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Awesome.
I know that they're talking to Sony about it, but no official announcement has been made as to whether or not that's going to happen. But I would like to see that happen.
Now, am I going to look like Sam Fisher? When I kick this thing down on my head, is it that big?
It's that badass is what you should say.
You don't have 3 little green dots on it, but it looks pretty close. But I've been reading a lot about this, and there's some other cool innovations that are also Kickstarter funded projects, but not nearly as big as the Oculus Rift. I saw one that was a vest that you wear that has these I can't remember what they call them, but it basically, when you get shot, it knows where you're getting shot in the game and then reacts like with some kind of movement that like makes your muscle move or contract. So it feels like
I don't fucking need that. I don't need to be electrocuted sitting in front of my TV.
Oh man,
I don't know if I could handle that kind of damage. I mean, the way I play Call of Duty, I get shot a lot.
Telling you, I'd be like
by your own teammates.
Right in the lightning.
Yeah. That sounds more painful than fun.
There's a bunch of innovations like that again, the holodeck's way off, but those are little things that make me feel like we're closer.
What I want to see, ultimately, and not to steal the holodeck theory, but I want to be able to turn a game system on, turn my lights off, and basically that world is there, not on my television. I want to actually be in that world. I want it to be projected around me, And I think at some point we're going to have that capability.
Okay, Neo, let's try and keep it a little
No, I
closer
mean,
to today.
Seriously, that's what I think. Well, I don't think we're that far away, though. I really think they could project that on the screen, and you could interact with that environment. Maybe not 100 or 360 degrees, but you could have a 180 degree projection and actually interact with that world, and that's what I would like to see.
I'm going to keep mine a little more simple. I want to see more developers going to Kickstarter and getting the funds to make great games that the big companies like Activision and EA don't want to pay for. I love that Double Fine, who made the wonderful, wonderful game of Psychonauts, is getting to make a new game. There's a series of games on the computer that I used to adore called the Tex Murphy games. Those guys are getting to make a new Tex Murphy game, which I never thought I would live to see. Thank God for it. So many developers. Hell, Al Lowe is getting to make a new Leisure Suit Larry game, all because of Kickstarter. I want more developers that have been cut out of the funding process, given new life to make new games for all of us. So I want to see Kickstarter become even bigger and allowing these games to come out.
That's a very good plan. And honestly, anything less than Tron is a failure. Truly.
And guys, there are a lot of games that not everybody has heard of out there. There's a lot of stuff going on. Just independent developers, Kickstarter projects. There's so much gaming out there, and it bums me out sometimes that just another shooter is what makes it big and makes all this big money. To me,
that's what people want, man. The masses.
I know.
Masses with them fat asses.
Mm-hmm. I'm one of those masses.
Let's do a little nerd baiting. The Wii U. Its sales have been way below expectations, causing many to question whether Nintendo should really even be in the hardware game anymore. People have actually made this proclamation before. Nintendo always rose from the ashes to make them eat their words. We all know how big the Wii got. Will the Wii U overcome the lack of interest that people have given it so far? Or was the Wii's meteoric rise just too much for any other system to hope to match?
Go ahead, Aaron.
No, knock yourself out, because can't wait to stomp you.
No, I'm going to be devil's advocate. You go ahead.
I think the Wii U is already dead in the water. I honestly see, with the new consoles already on the horizon, I'd see absolutely nothing to compete with those systems from the Wii U. The only thing that Nintendo has right now is their catalog of
their first-party games.
Yes, their first-party games. That's all they have. And they've been banking on that shit for so many years, it's ridiculous. But the reason the Wii U, don't get me wrong, I thought Nintendo was dead too, and Wii was phenomenally attractive to a lot of casual gamers who now don't give a shit. It was a fad. It ran its course, it's done. The Wii U,
they're all playing Candy Crush on their phones.
Exactly, because now the mobile gaming is taken up where the Wii had lost, footing. So now they can play their casual games and they don't have to buy this fancy console. The Wii U appeals strictly for Nintendo gamers. I don't know anybody else that wants one. Not one single person that I know that plays on Xbox or anything else that doesn't have a history with Nintendo wants one of these systems. So I think it's done. And
Justin, what about you?
I have to agree with Aaron. As much of a bad taste as that brings up in my throat, Aaron's completely right. I think the Wii was able to tap into something very unique, but also very specific to that platform. I think all the soccer moms that made it such a big hit have moved on. They moved on to smartphones. They moved on to other things. I think the Wii U is dead. We'll just have to see how Nintendo responds. They've got Zelda. They've got Mario. They have got some franchises that Microsoft would probably, or Sony, would pay hundreds of millions of dollars to make exclusive to their system. So they definitely have things of value, but they continue to put out hardware and people don't want to buy it. I don't know if they're going to survive this one, especially with the 3DS not being as big a seller as the DS was. They've now got two current systems that are underperforming. I don't think they're done. I think somehow Nintendo will find a way to persevere in the hardware game. I just have to wonder if that's really the smart move.
Well, and I'm going to sound like a fanboy, but I'm going to preface this by, well, listen, I'm going to,
that's okay.
I'm going to preface this and say that I don't own a Wii U and I don't plan on buying one.
Mm-hmm. But you hemmed and hawed about it.
I did. I really, really fought hard, but a lot of that was new console-itis. A new console out there and I want to have it kind of thing. That was a lot of it.
Every day is Christmas.
Tech I don't have.
Yeah.
Every day is Christmas morning in Scott Clark's mind.
I think Nintendo is far from down and out. Their consoles have historically, outside of the Wii, have historically had miserable launches. They don't really get into their stride until like the second and third years of it. Even the Wii itself did leaps and bounds better after that, but they just had a good initial launch. People are freaking out because like they didn't do a press conference recently a couple weeks ago. They did their own little Nintendo Direct thing, but they were still there. They're still had a presence. They just didn't spend the big money on the big press conference, and to me, that's them taking a step in the right direction. That they know that we live in a social media age, and they don't have to spend that kind of money and put it towards things that matter.
I think it's them realizing that they had nothing to compete with.
No, I disagree. I think it's because they know that anything that they have, their people are going to find a way to see it that want to see it, and they're going to go out. And
yes, they're Nintendo people.
Right.
When did the Wii U come out?
Last year.
No, oh yeah.
Like what month?
It was last November, December.
Yeah, it was right before Christmas.
Holiday.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean, my interest in the Wii U if it could go into the negative numbers, it would, because I wasn't one of those Nintendo guys. When the Nintendo came out, I was on my Tandy, so I never quite got that rosy-eyed thing for Mario and all the rest of them. I don't know. I mean, I do. I think with Nintendo, it's a saving face. If they gave up hardware, it would be admitting that they failed in some way. And I don't, whether it's the Japanese in them or not, that's making them continue to throw good software money after bad hardware expenses or not. I don't know, but they do keep doing it, and somehow they keep going along. You just have to wonder how much more money would they make if they didn't throw money into the hardware and just did exclusively software with some company or all the companies. But I think they'd probably make more money if they made an exclusive deal as opposed to trying to create software for all of them.
Mm-hmm. I will agree with you that the Wii U gamepad didn't latch on with people to any level of that the Wii did.
Tell me one thing besides that pad that you're so excited about that is different about this console than Xbox, even 360, really.
Nothing that's different other than like the exclusive games that I want. I already told you I play most of my games on an Xbox, and I buy the other consoles to play the ones that I can't play on those on an Xbox.
I'm just saying, I think Nintendo's they're gonna have to come out with a new console soon because this one is not working.
I think with things that are coming out, it's gonna turn around. And again, not from me because I'm not buying it. But we said that they just keep iterating on old properties, Mario and Zelda and Metroid and that kind of thing. They
bash them into the ground.
Right, but the ones that they're making aren't. It's not like they're making crappy updates to these games. Mario Kart looks fantastic. It's in 60 frames per second. It
cool.
Looks to be a good game.
We got another version of Mario Kart.
Yes, for you and me, we've played Mario Kart.
Let's go buy a console.
We've played Mario Kart 7 times before that. There's a new generation of gamers that are in their elementary age that haven't played Mario Kart 1 through 7 like we have.
I think you want it to work more than it's working.
Well, but it kind of reminds me of Disney. Disney has
nobody harps on Disney for doing
with,
that.
The home video version, fucking Little Mermaid 3, whatever. And it keeps making them money. They don't have to make a lot of money. It just makes them enough to kind of keep going on. And maybe that's what Nintendo's become, somewhat the Disney of.
And that's the same movie.
They're always trying to appeal to that young market, and they keep coming for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a big market, but it's big enough for them. And, for them, it's not about being the winner, though they really, crowed about it when the Wii was such a success.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let's move on to our final topic. We always like to end with a little nerd war. So let's do it with this one. Xbox One or the PS4, guys, which one are you going to be getting? And don't say both. Which one you getting first? Which one are you most pumped for? And trash talk the other one.
Go ahead, Scott.
I don't want to trash talk the other one. I'm not
talk, bitch.
I'm not going to trash talk. If I could only buy one, I would buy the Xbox One. Primarily because of my loyalty with Xbox. Even though I think PS4 is doing things better, but like Justin said, I love the achievements. My achievement scores is carrying over.
E-penis.
What's that?
It's my e-penis.
You're doing things better in terms of just their press conferences?
As far as what they showed in the press conferences, they showed a more impressive. I think Microsoft showed better games. I think Sony appealed more to the gamer as far as with the online and with the used market, that kind of thing. Those problems aren't affecting me, so I'm still gonna choose the Xbox over the PS4 because of my loyalty and because I play most of my games on my Xbox. I'm not gonna if there's a game on both consoles, I'm not gonna pick the PS4 one over the Xbox for achievements. I like the controller better. I mean, granted, I haven't held the new controllers, but and I actually like the TV integration stuff. I know that's not really a gaming related topic, but what they're doing to make cable less of a pain in the ass, I think is really cool. I think that a lot of people will latch onto that. I know might make me put it in my main living room instead of my man cave.
In terms of like press conferences and advertising.
No, just which one do you want?
I want the Xbox One because it looks like in 3 years from now it's going to be fucking amazing. PlayStation 4 seems like it's going to be the PlayStation 4. So I'll talk trash about it. You haven't created anything new. It looks... They've taken everything... The PlayStation has addressed all the concerns I wanted them to address. That's great. They made a better controller. They adapted their online service to actually have party chat, which is cool 5 years ago. And they're finally catching up to all the things they want to do. They've created a 360 for their PlayStation 4, is what I see. But I like it, and I think they've done everything that they needed to do to sell gamers. But Xbox One looks like what I want in 3 years from now. It looks like I've got fucking cool shit that I can play with.
I think those issues...
Not just games, because I'm getting older. I don't play as many games. I want other stuff. I want something that encompasses everything.
Mm-hmm. I think the issues that have made the PS4 press conference win over the Xbox press conference, we're not even going to be talking about in 5 to 10 years.
I don't think we'll be talking about it by Christmas.
Yeah.
All right, well, this wouldn't be a video game sort of discussion if we didn't have a bonus level.
Hey, you didn't answer.
Oh, shit, Xbox One. Is there any question?
Yeah, because you didn't answer.
I'm an Xbox fanboy. I bought the first one. I had a pre-order for I was on vacation, and I dragged my wife into a library so we could use the computer to pre-order the original Xbox.
That's dedication.
Wow.
So, yeah, I'm an Xbox fanboy, but this really, it leads right into our bonus level question.
Didn't know we were having a bonus level.
Well, that's because I'm special.
Did we take the warp zone to get there? Or?
Do what?
Did we take the warp zone to get there?
Yes, you have to jump into the right pipe, and luckily I'm leading the party, so we made it. When the original Xbox came out, a lot of people hemmed and hawed about, well, a Western-developed console is never going to survive because only Japanese-based consoles will sell in Japan and therefore the world. The Xbox obviously proved them wrong. Granted, it never sold worth a shit in Japan. It sold more than enough in Western territories to make up for that. I don't know how the 360 has sold in the Asian markets, but it sold goddamn well. It sold 77 million units worldwide, so it's doing well enough. Do you think at this point the Xbox's Western status is even a factor to anyone? And does its Western nature appeal to you in some kind of, patriotic America get her done kind of way?
Well, first off, I think 20 million of those consoles were probably, red ringed.
Maybe, yeah, probably. I know mine did. I'm on my second one.
I really can't tell the difference, so I don't know why anyone else would. Obviously, Xbox doesn't sell in Japan, so I'm sure they're brand loyal. They got Nintendo and PlayStation, they're fine. I don't care either. I'm going to buy whatever the best system is. I really don't care where it's made, because Microsoft doesn't make their shit here either.
Right,
so.
But it's perceived as a Western company and therefore a Western hardware.
Everything is universal.
Even if it's all built in China.
No, everything's universal now. So as far as I'm concerned, they're all the same.
Tell that to the Japanese.
Well, everything's universal except Japan.
Right. What about you, Scotty?
I could care less about the America aspect of
America.
it. I'm not buying a game console based on where it was made. It's a $500 console. You're talking about cars where I'm spending $20,000 or something. Okay, maybe, but I go to which one does what I want it to do. Technology. I mean, that's I could care less.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't.
All right. Well, I will admit that when the original Xbox came out, one of the reasons that I bought it is that I really wanted to see a Western hardware company succeed in this market. It irritated me to no end, this Japanese perceived arrogance. And, Arrow would kind of condescend that, oh, it's an American company. They are not going to succeed. And a part of me, that flag waving guy way deep down inside of me was like, look, you guys, we can make good hardware too. What the fuck? And so I did have a bit of that patriotic whatever going on when I bought it. And I think even still to this day, I want to continue to see Western companies, Western ideas, whatever, succeed in the gaming marketplace. I think console gaming in general has become better because more Western developers got into it. Would gaming be as exciting today if Bungie, if Epic, if a lot of those companies didn't get into it and had strictly stuck to PC gaming? I don't think any of us would disagree in saying that no, it would not be as good as it is now. I want diversity. So yeah, I kind of want the Xbox One, maybe 5% because it's a Western console, but it's gotten more and more minor with each iteration.
I will tell you, I think Sony makes better hardware. I mean,
I would say so, but I'm also on my second PS3. Mine yellowed out. I got it fixed and it fucked up again.
Yeah, and you never play it.
Well, back then I played it more often than I do now. But yeah, both of my initial next gen or current gen consoles went tits up.
Gotcha. Tits up.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, I think for this video, there's so many more avenues we could go down in later discussions. If any of you guys out there have got particular topics that you'd like to hear us discuss on another video game based after hours, or if you've got any comments on what we talked about today, we would love to hear those. You can go to facebook.com/The Hollywood Outsider, or at Twitter, we're at H_outsider. Send them the email feedback at thehollywoodoutsiders.com, or send them as a message or a text to 818-81 I'm a ho. That's 818-814-6246. Tell your friends, subscribe on iTunes, Zune, listen on your Stitcher Radio app. Give us a thumbs up if you do, or just a plain old RSS feed. And please, if you're listening to us on iTunes, go on there, leave a review. We like 5 stars. The gamers in us like that high number. So please go do that. Aaron and Scott, thank you so much for coming on and livening up this conversation.
It was a pleasure, and if there's any other gamers out there that like to chat games, my Twitter handle is Scotty Lindsay. Scotty with an IE, Lindsay with an AY.
Oh, look at
him.
And
if you like this enough, Scotty may have to resurrect
the official.
What was it called?
The official Thread podcast.
Yeah. I think that title didn't do you any favors.
Really?
Because outside of us who understand what that means, no one else really understood what that meant.
I kind of see what he's saying.
And I say that as a guy whose podcast does not have the word writing in the title of it and has gotten no end of grief because of it. So there you go.
All right.
Everybody out there listening, remember what the good book says: the geeks shall inherit the earth, so please stay geek strong.